Have you been going around the internet looking for the Ultimate Baseball Podcast? Well, you've just found it. On the Dugout Report, we'll cover not only the latest news from across Major League Baseball, but we'll also analyze and break down the hottest games, players, stats, and takes from every aspect of the game, including from on the field, in the dugout and clubhouse, from the front office, and so much more. As longtime White Sox broadcaster Ken the Hawk Harrelson would say, sit back, relax, and strap it down. This is the Dugout Report podcast with Andy Caruso. Hello everyone, and a very happy Sunday to you, wherever you may be. This is episode 4 of the Dugout Report on this Sunday, December 19th, 2021. I am your host, Andrew Caruso. This is the last episode of 2021, and before we get into covering this week's news, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you, listeners, for all your support over these first 4 episodes. Words cannot express the gratitude I have for all of you who take the time every week to tune in and listen to an average teenage nerd and diehard baseball fan talk about his favorite sport. The kind messages and words of support, plus the social media follows and shares about the show, is part of what motivates me to keep producing this show. In fact, I got a comment on Twitter from a guy named Nathan a few days ago who told me just that because he listened to my show, he's been inspired to start his own sports podcast, just like how I was inspired to start the Dugout Report after listening to Gabby Hurlbut and Mike Scudero's respective shows. They were happy to pass on the inspiration to me, and I'm happy to do the same for Nathan. Nathan, if you happen to be listening to this episode, I want you to know that I really appreciate your kind words, and I wish you all the best in your podcasting journey. Gabby and Mike, if either or both of you happen to be listening to this episode, I want you to know that I'm forever grateful that our paths crossed. Even though we've only met online, it feels as if we're old friends who've known each other for a long time. So I thank you both too. As I said on the first episode a few weeks back, I hope as time goes by and I produce more content, I hope the show will gain a following, which will help contribute to the wonderful online community made up of baseball fans like you and me. I have a feeling 2022 will be the year where I really start to gain a following, and if you folks keep doing what you've been doing, I may achieve that goal. So keep it up, and thanks again. Anyways, on this episode, we'll cover the remaining hot stove moves that we didn't get to last week, including the Adam Frazier trade to Seattle and John Gray's deal with the Rangers. Our last hot stove move to cover today is covering the Cubs trio of signings with Clint Frazier, Marcus Stroman, and Yan Gomes. To cap off the episode, as it's been for the last couple of weeks, we'll do another free agent profile as voted on by you, the fans. Stay tuned till the end of the show to find out who this week's free agent is. As a quick reminder about the schedule for the next few weeks, this is the last episode for a few weeks. There will be no new episodes on December 26th or January 2nd. Regularly scheduled programming will return on January 9th with episode 5 and me a full year older and wiser, as my birthday is the week before the return date for the show, and I would rather spend the time with my family and relaxing and not have to worry about creating new content over the Christmas holiday break. Thank you guys for your understanding. If you missed the last episode from last week, you can listen to that episode and previous editions of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Also, I want to remind you that you can follow the show on Twitter at DugoutRepPod. That's Dugout, R-E-P, Pod. While you're at it, follow my personal Twitter feed at AndrewCaruso77. We've got a lot to cover, so we can't waste any more time. So with that being said, let's head into the dugout to talk baseball. Our first story of the day is covering a significant trade that took place a few weeks back. On November 27th, utility man Adam Frazier was traded to the Seattle Mariners from the San Diego Padres in exchange for Seattle minor league pitcher Raymond Kerr and minor league outfielder Cody Rozier. Frazier was an all-star with Pittsburgh last year. They then sent him to the Padres at the deadline in exchange for for more minor leaguers. In 155 games between the two clubs, he had a .305 average with a slugging percentage of .411 and an on-base percentage of .368. He also had an OPS of .779. As for the rest of his numbers, he had 577 at-bats with only 5 home runs and 43 RBIs. He had 176 hits in total. This is a good trade for Seattle because not only does it give them a starting second baseman, but it also gives them a utility man who can play everywhere on the field. This past year, Frazier proved himself as a solid player who can put up solid numbers. I think it was a glimmer of hope for a Pirates team and fan base that desperately needed it because Pittsburgh has been miserable for the last few years due to their poor records and teams of nothing but mediocre players. Anyways, Seattle is looking to make their first playoff runs within the next few years, something that their fans haven't seen in 2 decades, and the flurry of moves that they've made recently proves that they're looking to achieve that goal. Adding the defending AL Cy Young Award winner in Robbie Ray, and adding yet another solid piece with the potential to add a third in Chris Bryant once the lockout is over, is an offseason that any team like them would be very proud of. Let me know your thoughts on the trade and if you agree with my predictions. Our next story is covering yet another free agent signing, as on November 30th, the Texas Rangers agreed to a 4-year, $56 million deal with free agent starter Jon Gray. His deal was one of 4 deals that the club agreed to that day, hours before the lockout. The other deals were with infielders Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, as well as outfielder Cole Calhoun. Before becoming a free agent, Gray spent the last six seasons with the Colorado Rockies, and in 29 starts last year, he had an 8-12 record with an earned run average of 4.59 and a whip of 1.33. He also threw 149 innings with 157 strikeouts and 58 walks in those innings. Similar to the Mariners, each of these respective signings bring a spark to a specific area of the team. In Gray's case, he's a solid pitcher who slots directly into that A spot at that Texas rotation. They aren't looking to make a playoff run, but these signings should be able to bring the Rangers some more wins in 2022. In addition, Globe Life Field could be considered a pitcher's park, whereas Coors Field is more of a hitter's park due to the high elevation and the very controversial Coors effect. Moving to a pitcher's park such as Globe Life should help bring Gray's ERA down and provide an upgrade to a rotation that could use it. Like I said last week, all of these deals are part of the Rangers' record offseason spending spree. Do you agree with my thoughts on Jon Gray? Let me know. Now don't go away because we've still got more to cover on our last episode of the year. Stay tuned. Our last major story is covering a set of under-the-radar moves made by the Chicago Cubs, as on December 1st, they officially agreed to contract with 3 players, pitcher Marcus Stroman, catcher Yan Gomes, and outfielder Clint Frazier. Stroman's deal was announced by himself via his Twitter page and is worth $71 million over 3 years. Meanwhile, Gomes' deal is worth $13 million over 2 years, with the 3rd-year option for 2024 worth $6 million. Finally, Frazier's deal is worth $1.5 million over the next year. Out of these 3 deals, Marcus Stroman is the most significant one. Last year, Stroman had a breakout year, posting a 10-13 record with a 3.02 ERA over 33 starts with a 1.15 whip, 158 Ks, and 44 walks. Gomes during 2021 split time with the Nationals and A's. In 103 games combined with the two clubs, he hit .252 with an on-base percentage of .301 and a slugging percentage of .421 and an OPS of .722 in 349 at-bats. Frazier spent last year with the Yankees and was limited to just 66 games due to persistent health issues such as concussions, and he also had vision because of the concussion. He had vision issues, so I think it was very similar to Kirby Puckett, where he had to retire due to health issues. So, anyways, and he was designated for assignment after the season to make room for minor league players who had to be added to the 40-man in order to protect them from being eligible for the Rule 5 draft. When the Yanks failed to trade him or put Frazier on waivers for another team to claim him, he was released by the organization, allowing Chicago to pick him up off the open market. I also think these are solid moves. Stroman provides another rotation piece to pair with Kyle Hendricks, Adbert Alzolay, and Wade Miley, who was another new acquisition made it around the same time as the previous three deals that I just mentioned. Gomes provides a strong catcher on the depth chart, so he and Wilson Contreras could very likely platoon behind the dish next year and split games. When one catcher needs the day off, the other can slot right into the lineup. There is a slight disadvantage, though, as both Contreras and Gomes have been the starting catchers on their respective teams in the past. So the manager of the Cubs, David Ross, is going to have to get creative when it comes to deciding how to platoon them on a daily basis. Like I said earlier, it'll be interesting to see if Frazier ends up playing consistently again, because his health issues are pretty serious. If he does play consistently next year and in the years down the line, it's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy for a majority of the year and rebound to put up good stats at the plate and on the field. Again, y'all can join the conversation by letting me know your thoughts on these trio of deals. With that being said, that covers all the remaining significant moves from the hot stove. We're getting close to the end of the episode, so now it's time to reveal the player for this week's edition of Free Agent Profiles. The show's not over yet, so keep listening as the big review is coming right up. Don't go away. To cap off the episode, as we've done for the last few weeks, it's yet another edition of Free Agent Profiles. Again, as always, I had you folks vote between 4 different players through a poll posted to the show's Twitter page at DugoutRepPod. The 4 players you could choose from were Carlos Correa, Michael Conforto, Carlos Rodon, and Anthony Rizzo. Correa received 86% of the vote, so he's going to be our spotlighted free agent this week. Rizzo received 14% of the vote, which means that both Conforto and Rodon received no votes. There were 8 total votes cast this week. Now, let's dive into Correa's profile. Correa is a shortstop who has spent the last 6 years with the Houston Astros. They selected him with the number 1 overall pick in the 2012 MLB draft. Prior to being drafted into the MLB, he played college baseball at the University of Miami, after playing for various teams in the youth and in high school as part of a scholarship due to his family's economic struggles in Puerto Rico. In high school, he was part of the Puerto Rican youth national baseball team that played at the Youth Pan American Baseball Tournament. During his pro career, Correa has put together quite the resume. He won the American League Rookie of the Year honors in 2015. He also won the Gold and Platinum Glove Awards this past season in 2021, while also winning the Fielding Bible Award that same year. He's a 2-time All-Star and was a member of the infamous 2017 World Champion Astros, who we all know cheated their way to a championship. Sorry, Astros fans, if I made some of you mad by mentioning the scandal. Anyways, according to the latest rumors from earlier this month, a number of teams are in Correa's market, and have talked to him and his agent. These teams include the Cubs, Braves, Tigers, Dodgers, Red Sox, and Yankees. Detroit offered Correa a 10-year deal, but he turned it down, according to the site MLB Trade Rumors. Freddie Freeman Freddie Freeman leaves to go elsewhere in free agency, that would mean the Braves would lose a key bat in the lineup, and Correa could fill the hole that Freeman would leave behind. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see if the Braves do end up signing Correa, what that means for Dansby Swanson. Does he play second? Do him and Correa split time at short? Or obviously I think Correa will get more starts, but I think it'll all depend, and they have Austin Riley at third. Anyways, similarly, the Dodgers could use Correa to fill the hole left by Corey Seager after he signed that massive deal with the Rangers. And I covered that last week, so if you want to hear my thoughts on the Seager deal, you can listen to episode 3 of the show, which was released last Sunday. Anyways, it would also be interesting to see how Correa would work up in Greentown, since the Red Sox already have a strong shortstop in Xander Bogaerts and a strong third baseman in Rafael Devers. Similarly to the Braves, maybe Bogaerts could play second with Correa at short and Devers at third, and Bobby Dahlbeck or Tristan Casas at first base. But they also have Kike Hernandez at second, so I think Correa to Boston seems unlikely. Sorry, Red Sox fans. I don't think Correa's going to sign with y'all. Lastly, I'd like to admit some bias when I say when I say I want Correa to sign with the Yankees. Putting him in the lineup with Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gio Urshela, and DJ LeMahieu would be scary, and a big upgrade at a position that has no depth anymore with Tyler Wade and Andrew Velazquez both gone. Correa could be the starter with Gleyber Torres platooning, because Gleyber Torres has sort of lost it a little bit. His numbers have definitely gone down, and he isn't the hype prospect that he used to be. It's not the same, but yeah. But let me know where you think Correa will end up signing once the lockout is over. How long and how much does he sign for? With that covered, that concludes another edition of Free Agent Profiles. Stay tuned for next episode's poll. With that being said, we've reached the end of the episode, and closing remarks or thoughts are coming right up. Don't go away. So, that concludes the end of episode 4 of the Dugout Report. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Once again, as a reminder, you can follow the show on Twitter at DugoutRepPod and my personal feed at AndrewCaruso77. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Please share this episode with your friends and on social media. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you don't celebrate, have a happy holiday. That's it for this week. And so this is your host, Andrew Caruso, signing off. I'll see you in 2 weeks for our first show of the new year. Thanks for listening. So long, everyone.